Hello and welcome to this flip through of Oathmark's first expansion, Battlesworn. I haven't had a good chance to read through the book yet, so I thought let's do a flip through, a preview of the book. If you have any questions, we'll try and flip through it and find the answers for them. Just going to go over the book, see what's the content in here. Yeah, that's the plan. And after that, I'm going to take a quick look at my orc army that I've painted up so far. So, Oathmark, looking forward to really getting around to playing it. Now I have a small army, and Battlesworn is the first of at least 3 expansion packs that we know. Oathbreakers will be out soon-ish. That's the next expansion. And then there is going to be Bane of Kings. So all Oathmark expansions seem to have names generated on the Manowar name generator. When we had Joseph McCullough on the Discord server talking Oathmark with him, I'll drop a link for the podcast. He even had a hard time remembering the different names for the different expansion packs. Basically, he's already done writing the first 3 expansions for Oathmark. So Battlesworn, Oathbreakers, and Bane of Kings are all done. They were written at the same time. Battlesworn was supposed to be the second expansion, but because of COVID craziness and wanting to bring out some undead miniatures for Oathbreakers, and that couldn't work during COVID. Battlesworn was moved up the queue and was released first. All right, let's have a look. Battle of the Lost Ages, Battlesworn. Contents. Let's see here. Battle Honors, that's what it's kind of sold on. That's from the blurb on the back as well. So that should be rules for upgrading units to a legendary status, giving them experience and extra rules. Engineers and Riverine craft, so rules for ships and boats. Military expeditions, I don't know what that is. Probably a small campaign, new scenarios for playing the game. There's military expeditions 1, 2, and 3. So I think that's probably mini campaigns. And appendix: new spells, unique territories, new creatures, new special abilities. So that looks pretty much like a standard Frostgrave expansion with new rules, some scenarios, and new stuff. This is all completely. Thanks for dropping the link there, Torben. Miniatorium, a link for the podcast with Joseph. Great listen. You should go listen to it. So, yeah, seems pretty standard, and unlike some games that bring out expansion packs that are must-have because there are better units or upgrade rules, it doesn't seem to be the plan with Oathmark that the expansion packs are completely optional and doesn't really change the core game that much. So that's nice. I like that fact. Cool wizard there. Introduction. The first supplement for Oathmark. Blah blah blah. Battle Honors. Okay, let's check this one out. So the idea behind Battle Honors was that it was supposed to be in the second expansion, but when you play games with the units, some of them can be awarded battle honors. At the end of any major battle, each player may award 1 battle honor to a unit in their army that performed well during that battle. And then there's some rules. The unit must have figures standing. It must be infantry or cavalry. It must have eliminated or caused an enemy unit to break and flee. And then you simply choose, I want to upgrade this unit. The unit can be a militia or slave unit. So some of the units are named like that. The unit currently has fewer than 3 battle honors, so they can get multiple. Then you can, you record how many battle honors they have in the in there. Let me just move the camera a bit closer here. I think 2 seconds. There we go. So you record it in their profile if you're using an army roster. Recruiting units with battle honors. Yeah. So something about it is that you still have to pay, and the way Oathmark works is you create your kingdom, and then every army is unique. So you just pick different units, and battle honors let you recruit units for your army. You have to pay extra points. Let's see here. So a unit of 19 elsewhere and one more. I don't know. So they go up in point cost. That's the point. Who else there? Spending battle honors. During a game, a unit with battle honors may spend a battle honor to reroll a single die from an activation, morale test, combat, or shooting action roll. So they go up pretty much high in points, and it gives them a single reroll dice during the battle. So if they go up 3 times, making the unit insanely expensive. If you had like elf line breakers who are crazy expensive from the get-go, and you add battle honors to them, that reroll can probably be pretty crucial at some point. I need this activation right now to do something important. A reroll can be very good, or I can't afford to fail this one. But other than that, there's not much to it. I thought battle honors would be more like we see in regular skirmish games, campaign skirmish games, where you'll get a unit will get, a model will get this and this and this injury and these debuffs while gaining levels and experience and newer skills, and you constantly have to weigh up. Do I still want to keep the unit? So he's missing an eye, he's missing an arm, but he's still a very good melee fighter. At some point, do you cut the ties with them? And so I had expected a bit more, because here in Battlesworn, that's the thing you can do. You get the ability to include a unit in your army that has a die reroll for extra point costs. And if the unit is destroyed during the game, you have to roll a die here at the end of the battle to see if you lose your unit, and how many battles you can't include the unit, or that you can include them in your next game. So guess I need to find a squire, baggage, jester, or similar to represent my unit's battle honors. Yeah, I was thinking for battle honors, a way to show it was to paint up some extra banners to put at the back of the regiment. So in my army, the banner bearer is the officer, he's in the center, and then paint up extra small banners or small flags to add to the back of the unit to show if they have battle honors. And then you can remove the flag when they've used their reroll. Is that the back of an orc or a goblin on the photo? This is a Oathmark goblin. We know from our talk with Joseph that we'll have an orc kit at some point, and they'll be bigger than the goblins, but not when. All right, rules for planting an Oathmark. That probably should have been in the main book, since it's the name of the game. But it lets you plant an Oathmark on the battlefield, terrain with special abilities that will make a better morale for the unit in that better morale for units near engineers and riverine craft. So this is new units and completely new ways to play. I guess I like that human archer. Um, Engineers are small infantry units that specialize in the construction and destruction of battlefield fortifications, temporary bridges, and roads. And then there are different kinds of engineer types, and they are bought always bought in 5 models at a time, so their point costs are higher. And I hope that we'll get official models for engineers. It seems like an absolutely perfect opportunity to make some great metal miniatures. Make 5 dwarf engineers fitting in the style of the plastic kit. Human, elf, goblin, orc engineers. Engineers can be experts as well, giving them rerolls on failed activations, making them more expensive. And what engineers are able to do is they can build and destroy cover, basically small walls, while playing the game. And I can't figure out exactly how they make a 12 centimeter wall and they can move over them freely. Cover is pretty good, and if you're playing a scenario where you have to defend something, a wall in front of a unit will it's good to defend it, and it will protect you from missile fire. I'm not sure how this is going to work in the game. Having a small unit that has to move around, find a position to spend actions to create a more small battlefield um, barricades, move over them, and then have another unit move in between. So I'm not sure how it'll work, but it's potential. Yeah, and engineers will probably get a bigger role if there's a siege expansion at some point. And there really should be. Riverine craft. Numerous waterways crisscross the lands of the marches, from small brooks, streams, and gills to mighty rivers, adding riverine craft to an army. There are numerous types and varieties of riverine craft. The exact look of a boat or barge can vary greatly depending on the craftsman. Yeah, okay, so it's a good reason to try and build some stuff. Sarissa has some great MDF kits of boats and Roman ships, Viking ships. Should be pretty easy to construct something for an orc. But let's see what they do. Small boats have a crew of 3. Large boats have a crew of 5. You need blah blah blah, something about your kingdom, what you need. Figures on boats. All the crew must be placed on one boat and they may never leave their boat during a game. Okay, here. So a large boat could hold 2 units of 20 goblin archers or 2 goblin spellcasters, units of 1 or 1 of each. Okay, so a large boat can hold 2 units and a small boat can hold 1 unit. So that's a lot of guys in a single boat. Moving boats. Okay, depending on, so there's rules here for how the in which direction the river flows, and then you have to subtract that or add that to how the boat moves. So it can move quickly downstream or slower upstream. Shooting from boats. I'm hoping for some light human infantry, human scouts. That would be a cool kit. Shooting at boats. Modifiers. Embarking, disembarking, fighting on water. I'm not going to read all these rules, but it seems like a neat little thing to add to a game. Now there's rules. If you play a lot of Oathmark, if you play a kind of game, you make a big river uh, board or a board with a huge lake. I have my I have my Ghost Archipelago map where I can have a lot of water, so it could be fun to add. But even playing on a large map, it's hard to imagine how boat combat would work when it's because it's 28 mm scale, so the boats are huge. There's a rule for it, and from talking to Joseph, it seems like he can pretty much come up with anything to add to these expansions because it's just a sandbox for your mass battle games, and that's nice. You don't have to come up with it yourself. You want to play a ship battle? Here are some rules. Military expeditions. Uh, The Oathmark main rulebook contains a detailed campaign system for fighting battles in the marches and determining the effects those battles have on a kingdom. So, in the core book, when you're playing a campaign, you roll up dice to see who is the attacker in the current game, who's the defender, and depending if you win or lose as a if you win or lose as an attacker, or you win or lose as a defender, it will have some effects on your kingdoms, on some of your units, further in the campaign. Take this one out there. This book contains 3 additional military expeditions you can use within the context of that campaign system. Each expedition contains 2 or more interconnected battle scenarios that are designed to be played in order by the same 2 players. Okay, so mini campaigns. That's a cool thing to add. So you don't just roll up attacker, defender, but you actually have these small mini campaigns to add to your larger campaign. I like this. This is nice. This is something that we will normally cook up ourselves, trying to figure out a small story. I really like campaigns. Instead of you have the 2 same war bands, the 2 same armies constantly clashing, then it's nice to have some written stuff here. The Abandoned Temple Complex, Broken Docks. Okay, so you have a scenario that will take that will use boats. Night Attack. Special rules for scenarios, special ideas for setup. That's a nice thing to add. It's a cool wizard. And it doesn't look like it's a nice thing to be a wizard. Scenario 3, Scouting the Temple. So that's 3 scenarios in this one. 4 scenarios, Battle for the Temple. Spells. And an outcome for the campaign. Military Expedition 2, All for a Flower. Something with a huge lake. Special rules on what size armies the campaign is based for. How to set up the scenario. Amphibious assaults. Want to play a game. Oh, okay. So play a major opposed amphibious landing, sort of a fantasy version of D-Day. Now that's cool rules. That's something I like. Not necessarily the boats moving down a stream, but making a coastline and doing that kind of attack where, it's like one of those photos here where the warriors are jumping over the side of the ships and walking through knee-deep water. The Great Falls. So we have to build some waterfalls. Nice, of course. Thunderfalls. Battle in the Caverns. The Confusion of Battle. Scenario 4 is included for fun and has no bearing on the military expedition's outcome. An epilogue scenario. Nice. So 3 small mini campaigns, new catastrophic events. So that's a part of the main rulebook. It has this crazy table for dangerous and catastrophic events that can happen through the battle. So this is like guys getting hit by lightning and stuff like that, meteor showers and really high fantasy bad stuff happening. So a new table for that. New spells. water-based spells: summon water elemental, enrage the waters, calm the waters, anchor, stabilize. A couple of new spells for water. That's nice. Unique territories. So these are some unique territories. That's from the campaign. The temple complex will you can add a wizard that knows normal more spells than normally. Whenever a kingdom containing this territory is forced to roll on the destroyed units with battle honors table, they may roll 2 dice and choose which result to use. A gold mine. These before each game, a kingdom with select one unit. The unit receives the special ability Courage because they're giving more gold. Okay. New creatures: Giant Eel, Lake Beast, Water Elemental, Aquatic, and for writing down your battle honor units. A nice little expansion. Any questions we should look up, please let me know. I need to play a lot of Oathmark before I know how you would use an expansion like that, and um, I was kind of disappointed to read that the battle honors, the blurb here on the back, that contains rules for adding elite units to your army and charting their progress from battle to battle. That to me reads like a unit can gain multiple skills and multiple debuffs, and like following your units through a long campaign, writing a story for them, doing heroic deeds or gaining debuffs for getting killed or retreating. And that's not what we're getting in this. We're getting a free upgrade that you can pay some points, extra points for a unit, so it's a better unit. So it costs extra points to gain a reroll ability that they will then have a possibility to lose if they are killed in a battle, but no more than that. So there's not a lot of story in that element. And we asked Joseph about it, and he's writing something for your heroes instead, and that will be in Oathbreakers. That should have been out first. So hero progression with more skills and more, as we know it, battle scars. They get buffs, but they get debuffs, and you have to know how when will you have to retire your king. Um, and this one was supposed to come out after that, so the upgraded elite units is kind of just an addition to that with the heroes progression, and that kind of reads um, wasted potential. I don't know. It also keeps the game more simple, that you don't have 10,000 units. Part of the beauty is that you have your standard units, and they're all the same, and they're contained in this book. So you will not play against somebody and you have to learn 10,000 weird special rules. So for simplicity's sake, I think it's a good choice to just make it reroll or no. Nice to have rules for ships and boats and 3 written campaigns that use the rules. That will give me a reason to use them, because just should we play with boats today? Yeah, all right. And then try to figure out a scenario for that. It's really nice that there are rules here for how to use boats, and here are 3 small campaigns, and you'll get 1 or 2 games done in an evening. So there are 3 small campaigns. That's a good amount of game nights to play through these campaigns and using the rules for boats. That's a good way to do it. Yes, exactly. While hobbying, it would be really, really hard to make it work with character progression for all the different units. Yes, super hard, and it would probably end up broken, and you would have a lot of stuff to do with keeping track of the different units. But it's something you have to choose. Do you want to do it, or don't? Um, this could be used by anybody. I could play an opponent that doesn't have Battlesworn himself, and it really wouldn't break the system because it just gives me an option for my army for a reroll, but I pay the point 3 points per model or something like that in the unit, so it's not going to break anything, even if my opponent doesn't have that option. Nice little expansion. I'm looking forward really much to Oathbreakers containing Undead, and then Bane of Kings, which will contain rules for. I think Bane of Kings was for will bring rules and campaigns in the old empire. So back in the days in the marches, there was a huge empire, and like Roman Empire style, huge stuff, and it's broken and shattered into all these small kingdoms that you play in the book. I mean, you're in the Dark Ages, coming after a Golden Age, and Bane of Kings will look into campaigning and fighting against remnants of that old empire and some of the constructs and magical constructs they made during their big days. Um, bring some units. Oathbreakers bring necromancy and undead. That will be very cool. Well, it's a nice little book. Um, I'm looking forward to see how those engineers will work when we get an expansion for sieges. I can't figure out why there hasn't been announced a book of sieges with siege rules right away. That seems like an obvious thing to bring out. All right. Um, so that was me. That was going over uh, Battlesworn for Oathmark. Thanks for checking it out. Make sure to check out the podcast with Joseph McCullough. It's a good listen. There's almost an entire hour talking only Oathmark. So make sure to check that out and drop some likes on some of this social media stuff.